Hello guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another film review. Sometimes films produce amazing sequels, and tonight is one of those films. We're looking at Psycho 2, written by Tom Holland. This came out, I believe, this came out in the 80s, so it was a long time in the coming from the original, which came out in the 60s, in the early sort of 60s, and this is a follow-up to it. Um, and it follows Norman Bates. He is now coming out of I think he's been in sort of like almost like a sort of care institution rather than a prison. Um, and it's like he's sort of been rehabilitated, and I quite like that the fact that this film didn't come out till quite a while after, because it gives you more of that real sort of feeling about it, because like he's been away for like 20 odd years, and now he's coming out, and they've got Anthony Perkins once again playing Norman Bates. And say, like I said, he's coming out, and there's like a court case he's hearing about being released, and there's a woman there who's kicking off because she doesn't want him to be released. She says she's got a signed petition by hundreds of people saying they don't want him released, and but he gets released because he wasn't convicted of murder, because of his like psychiatric sort of problems he had. He was actually not convicted of it. He was sent to this mental institution. So she didn't really sort of like have much of a battle, but she said, well, there's sort of like, if it happens again, then it's all your fault. Anyway, so he then is released, and his doctor takes him back to the old motel, Bates Motel, and the infamous house. And when they arrive, we see him sort of looking at the house, almost sort of in fear of what's going to happen, because obviously all his memories are from there, when he thought his mother was still alive, and he sort of like split personality with his mum. Anyway, so the doctor offers him to sort of like, does he want to stay somewhere else? He says, no, I need to come back here. And the motel's still running. He's got a guy. There's a guy that has been put in place there to run the motel while he's away. So we see Norman going back into his house and sort of reflecting a little bit. And it's not long when he goes upstairs that he starts seeing visions and hearing his mother again. He even like gets some sort of note that's left under the phone saying that she'll be back soon to create dinner, M. So straight away he's almost sort of like hitting this mother thing again, but he's resisting it. And he's also been given a job by the state to work in this diner. So he then goes later on in the day to this diner to be like a kitchen assistant. And he arrives there, and we meet the female sort of lead of the film. And she's like a waitress there. And she seems to be quite a young one. She seems to be having troubles with her boyfriend. And um, and all this sort of thing coming on, and the chef's not almost doesn't like her, sort of thing. I think because she's probably a bit of a lighthead dreamer. Anyway, she drops a plate, and I think she was gonna get in big trouble. But then Norman says, "No, it was me." So he straight away they sort of connect a little bit. Anyway, Norman starts his new job, and when he finishes work in the evening, and we see him leaving the diner with a sort of quite a nice evening view of it, and she's on the phone, the girl's outside on the phone, still trying to make things up with her boyfriend, with no luck whatsoever. Anyway, Norman sort of comes to the rescue, because she states that she lives with him, but now she's got nowhere to go. So he says, "Why don't you come and stay? I own the motel. Why don't you come and stay at one of the rooms there, free of charge?" So sort of reluctantly she accepts, because she's got nowhere to go, and they head off towards the motel for the night. And sure enough, as soon as they get to the motel, it starts pouring down with rain and a thunderstorm. And Norman goes ahead and tries to find her sort of room out for her. First of all, he was going to put her in room 1, which was the room where he committed the murder, the famous murder in the first film. But he didn't. He gave another key. So he goes to check the room out, and the guy that's running the hotel in his place turns up. And so then Norman finally meets him. And he sends the girl up to the house. So why don't you go up to the house and wait for me up there? So she goes up to the house. And Norman starts having an argument with the guy that's running the place because he's found drug paraphernalia in the rooms. And the guy says, well, this is what they use the motel for now. People come to party, do drugs, do what they need to do and go, sort of thing. And obviously Norman doesn't like any of that, and he fires him on the spot. And he says, well, you can't do that. He says, well, I can because I'm out of now. I own the place. And she goes, well, you can't do it. He goes, well, okay, if you say that, I'll get the police in and see what they've got to say about all this sort of drug paraphernalia and things like that. So Norman says to him, but I want you gone by tomorrow. So he then returns to the house. And the girl questions him, what's all this argument about? What you arguing? And she told him about the motel sort of guy and him having a fight. And then she wants to call her boyfriend again. And so Norman says, yeah, go ahead. So she calls up her boyfriend again. And Norman goes to the kitchen to make sort of like supper, sandwich and a milk, as you do. And then that's sort of like a little bit of a kick to the first film, because that's what he gave the girl in the first film, was sandwich and a milk. So I quite like that was like a nod to the first film. So she comes into the kitchen and explains to Norman that the reason why they split up actually is because her boyfriend's already found someone else who's moved in. So anyway, she thanks Norman for food, and she actually got a knife. And she gets this knife from the drawer. It's obviously the knife that he's used in the first film. And he reluctantly holds the knife and cuts a sandwich. And that's when she sort of decides she wants to leave, because she heard about Norman in the diner from the other staff members. And she asked him, all this sort of stuff is true. And he sort of explains, yeah, it was. But, he's over that now. And he's trying to return to the normal world, and he states to her that he wants her to stay because it's good for him, it'll help him through, so he's not on a house on his own. So she, that it would help him just as much as help her. So she decides to stay, and that's all I'm going to tell you. So what's going to happen? This girl's now decided to stay. Is she going to be a good friend to Norman? Or is Norman going to turn to his old ways, and she become a victim of Norman? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Psycho 2? It's amazing. It's amazing. It's one of the best sequel films ever made, in my humble opinion. It's such a cool film, really, really good, because it's got exactly the same atmosphere as number one. It's got that sort of suspense. It's got that great sort of slow pace, but a good pace. This is a bit more upbeat, and it's a lot more kind of violent in a way. It is an 18. It does contain some violence and gore. It's a really good sequel, guys. It's fantastic. I can't say it leads on where the first one left off, because it's like 20 years later, but it does lead on from the first film. Now Norman's back out and trying to return to civilization. The pluses of this, it's a great transfer from Arrow. Once again, this is from the box set that I picked up for my birthday, the Psycho collection. Now I was going to review Psycho 1, but I just thought, do you guys really need a review of Psycho 1 when you've probably already seen it? Whereas Psycho 2, 3, 4, a lot of you might not have, and a lot of you might be thinking, oh, they're just cashing in. They're not cashing in, because it's 20 years later. If they were going to cash in, they would have made the Psycho a lot closer to sort of like the original. But Arrow have done a fantastic restoration film. It's really cool. Acting is superb. Anthony Perkins is fantastic, absolutely amazing. Great story. I think the story is stronger than the first one. I think it's a better story than the first one, but it needs the first one for this one to work. It's brilliantly shot, a beautiful photography, and it's just really cool. Negatives, none really. It's a fantastic film. So I'm going to score Psycho 2 an incredible, amazing watch, and give it a 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. Close to a 10 out of 10 for me, really. But I don't think it's got that 10 out of 10 sort of grab you sort of film. But it's a fantastic film. And like I said, it is a long time from the first one to this one. But I think that works in the film's favour. I think it does, because it's horror films have moved on a lot since the original, and I think this has got some sort of parts of the 80s sort of horror in it, but it's still got that original sort of feel, and it just works as an absolute delight. Psycho 2, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It's such a cool film. Really good. It's an absolutely fantastic franchise. I actually like all 4 of them. I will look at 3 and 4 on my channel, but I absolutely really love number 2. I think it's my favourite of the franchise. It's just such a good film. Absolutely amazing. Guys, till my next video, please check out some more horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzawell, I Am the Ice Lord, and Cat Watches Horror Movies. And a massive shout out to my lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.